Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pickardian.
Yeah, Brandon, down in Nashville, Tennessee.
Billy Spitfire Unlimited.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd and Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We're thrilled to death that you're listening to our show.
Thrilled.
Yes.
Yep.
Billy's thrilled, Tony's thrilled, Jared's thrilled.
Yep.
We have a lot of fun things to talk about. Coming off of the heels of NAMM, I know there's been an awful lot of yibbity-yabbity about that, but we went and we want to share some of the things that excited us and some of the fun things that happened and stuff.
And what does NAMM stand for, Todd?
NAMM stands for All Things Good.
And what does NAMM stand for,
National
Todd?
Association of Music Merchants.
Very good.
A lot of people think it's National
Music,
American
It's Music Marines.
Music Manufacturers, but it's not that.
Musical merchants.
Yes. Anyways, blah, 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 blah. We're going to have a fun show. We got lots of great things to talk about. We don't have any major announcements, I guess. We've had a lot of announcements as of late.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of announcy kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We've had some big milestones. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the extra long outtake section. Yeah, so we had the extra long outtakes from the 7th anniversary show, which was a lot of fun to do.
Yes.
So stick with it. It's worth it at the end. I guess that's it. Tony, let's just get on with this, shall we?
Get on with it, shall we?
Yes.
What are we going to do a show about?
Well, this show is, we already talked about that. We just kind of talking about some NAMM stuff and everything.
Yeah.
But the show, if you're a first-time listener.
Yes.
Okay, we've met so many new listeners.
How many?
As of late. Several.
Hundreds.
31.
Thousands.
At the show, and since then, we have lots of people kind of tapping in on our various platforms and whatnot. So, if you are a new listener, Billy, what kind of things do we talk about on the show?
Gear.
Great. Jared.
Yes.
Right.
So, Todd, shall I
Yes,
fill
please
the
help me.
listeners in? So we like to talk about gear, specifically boutique gear. We like to talk to the builders, the makers, the movers, the shakers.
Yeah. We focused on boutique gear up to this point, and I think now that it's also, we're seeing more gear coming out of some of the maybe bigger manufacturers that are really doing special things and different things.
Yes.
Such as, like, we had Black Star and stuff like
yeah.
that. So your definition of, what is a big or small kind of,
It's
isn't
blending.
as much as the point. It's blending. We still like pulling the spotlight on the people that won't necessarily get it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, without further ado, what's going on in our music worlds this week? We need to check in with the lovely, the bespectacled, the besmirched Tanya Bolonsky. Tell us what's going on.
Well, Todd, this week, we had talked in the past a couple of episodes. I had a Union Jack Rickenbacker style
Yes.
guitar coming.
This is the story that keeps giving.
It keeps on giving. Well, the good news is, dear, there's things being thrown across. Volleys have been shot across the table.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
I think Billy snuck into the tequila a little bit.
I think so. I mean,
All right.
maybe the absinthe.
Go.
So finally, this guitar shows up after a couple of weeks sitting in, I don't know, probably Jersey City or something like that. This was not one of my better buys, shall we say. There's a couple of issues with it.
I'll say it.
Go ahead.
I'll say it. It was not one of your better buys.
Oh, thanks, Billy.
It was not one of your better buys.
So it's cool.
It's fun. It's
fun. It's kitschy.
It's fun.
It's a good 5-foot
It's gonna look
instrument.
this is gonna look great
Yeah.
next to the Chipson.
Do you know what a 5-foot instrument is?
I feel like you're walking me into a really bad joke here.
A 5-foot instrument is something that looks pretty good from 5 feet away.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's okay. The paint job is not great. The headstock is too long. I changed out some of the parts on it already, and I'm just going to fix it up so that we have a semi-cool guitar here at the
It sounds
studio.
Ricky. It sounds Ricky.
Yeah,
right?
it's-
Just hang it on the
it's,
wall and look at it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, just don't get any closer than 5 feet.
Right.
So, there. Long story
You know,
short,
with these two guitars, I think we could start an almost good band.
you think?
Yeah.
If only we had a bass player.
Yes.
So that's, again, I don't bat 1,000 every time. This one is okay. And as Billy so eloquently said, not one of my better deals. So, oh well. Sometimes
Yeah.
you win, sometimes you lose.
Yeah.
Got to know when to hold them, know
Want
when
me
to
to
fold
grab
them.
that coffee cup you keep banging around? Jiminy Christmas. All right, Jared, about yourself.
So my friend Mike and I are collabing on music, and we just do this for fun because we live hours apart, and it's he sends me something and I'll put my own spin on it, and it'll just become what it does. And I've been really trying to step out of the box and going out of what I usually play. And I challenge everybody to do that. It's a difficult thing to do when you've been playing for 30 years a certain way. Well, I did a lead where I harmonized with the lead. I have a melody lead part and a harmony, so that was pretty cool. And I'm also using a lot of my guitars. So in doing this project with my friend, it's causing me to use a lot of guitars that I own. And that's making me feel good about purchasing them a long time ago. So it's all, been worth it and holding on to this stuff. And, I've traded and sold and bought different along the way, but a lot of my core guitars that I've had for a long time are getting new strings and getting played. And so people out there, just find someone to collab music with and just play this crap out of your instruments, man. That's just what keeps me going.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you weren't playing them, at least you still have them holding your house down, or else they would fly away.
No, it's a lot of fun playing them. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It makes it all worthwhile.
So you're
having
making
them.
choices. Some people. I think this is actually worth elaborating on a little bit, because I think when you're writing stuff, some people can say, "Oh, this is the one guitar I play," which is fine. If you're collecting and you're trying to find something, a special feel or a special sound, or even if it doesn't sound different, but just the reaction that you get when you're playing it is different.
It is.
That can open up entirely new aspects to making music, and I think being open to something that maybe you think you're going to play with one guitar, but you end up playing with another is kind of fun.
Yeah, it's a good discovery journey with instruments, definitely, especially when you want to record stuff.
Yep, indeed. Billy.
Well, this week I got back a bass that I had been playing years ago, a Campbell American bass.
Campbell
American.
Is it with a PB?
Campbell. Yes.
Campbell.
Gotcha.
Yes. Small builder.
Campbell American.
Only built a handful of basses.
Yeah.
Many guitars, including a transatung guitar, 6-string, which I have one of. But this was a bass, and it had basically a Music Man pickup in it, and it had the pickup set up as a split coil. That's the one, but I had several issues going on with it, and it just needed to be set up, and I had like a string that I think was was
It's like a Music Man
broken in
mixed
the
with a
middle.
Burns almost.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Kind of look at it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's kind of a Music Man feel.
Yeah,
and
but Burns with the long horn and the
G-
elongated
GNL
headstock and
kind of
stuff.
feel. No, not Burns. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I've seen that. Well, I mean, I know it's not rolling over like the violin scroll, but the elongated headstock, the skinny elongated headstock.
I got you.
And the longer upper horn.
Yeah. But well balanced guitar, beautiful guitar. Anyway, so I had my buddy Sean Bowers.
SB.
Set up the pickup so that instead of it being split and like a Music Man normally has the two coils in parallel, he put it in series.
Okay.
All right. Right.
Well, normally, if it's hum canceling, they would be in series. Let me ask you this: after
I
the
don't know
modification,
what you're talking about now.
Is it louder?
Okay. It's louder now.
Okay, so they were in parallel, and then by placing it in series, that makes it louder.
I think it would be hum canceling no matter what. But we can have another discussion on that. It doesn't matter.
I don't know. Let's figure it out now.
It was hum canceling before and it was hum canceling now. But anyway, except when it was split, of course.
Well,
But,
it depends. If the two coils are reverse wound, reverse
Right,
polarity,
right,
and then if you run them in parallel, the series,
Exactly.
and
Are you guys trying to talk about pickups?
Right.
yeah, we're talking pickups.
So
All I saw was
anyway,
Well, let's ask our resident.
We set it up. Oh,
Let's
okay.
ask our
All right.
resident pickup expert, Jared. So, if you have a typical, like a Music Man pickup that has two coils, and those coils should be reverse wound, reverse polarity to each other. If you run them in parallel versus series, are they still hum canceling?
Yes.
13 apples.
They are both hum canceling. However, if you run them in series or in parallel, rather, if say they're both 8K ohms, both coils are like a Dirty Fingers, and you run them in parallel, you'll end up with like 4K.
Okay, so it's like a speaker. If in series and parallel, you either
It's
cut
the
the
same
image in
concept.
half. Okay,
So, Billy,
yeah,
the
it's-
idea was to make it louder, right?
No.
See, I got that right, too.
well, you're batting out.
All I can see is like
The
Julia Roberts with the
idea
math
was
floating
that-
in front of her face.
Well, okay, so here's the deal. It sounded really cool when you would split the coil so there was just one coil operating.
Right.
But it was noisy.
Yes.
Okay. And
So you changed it to a
so I
series parallel
changed-
switch.
No.
No.
Did not do that either.
Wow.
Just put them in series and so I got one volume, one tone control, and one bass roll off.
Okay.
Bum, ba-da-dum, bum,
So no switch.
bum.
No switch.
No switch.
And you made it active.
No. It's passive. It's always been passive. It's still passive.
Okay.
Is it
Yeah.
passive aggressive?
Yeah, it is now. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. So anyway,
That's cool. So you're happy with the way it sounds?
yeah.
What's
Beautifully
is
happy
it
with
a
it.
sunburst?
No. It is not. What
color is
Mine
it?
it's like a translucent Olympic white.
Oh, okay. So you can
Like
see
a
the
Mary
wood grain
Kay.
through it.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yes, bingo.
Okay.
You got that right. You can see some wood grain through it.
Great.
And
Like a
it
Mary
has
Kay.
A white pick guard.
No. It has no. That's a tortoiseshell pick guard.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a rocking guitar, man.
That's great. That sounds like a really cool.
and I
looking-
have a
it's
Hawaiian.
a great shape. I really like
yeah,
the shape.
Yeah, it's a cool shape. It's a very cool shape. It's very well balanced, and I have a sticker on it from the North Shore of Oahu, from Halaiwa. And it says
Got that.
Halaiwa. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
Fantastic.
it's a freaking surf. It's not. It's
is it
not
a-
only rocking.
Is
it's
it a
surf
diamond
guitar.
shaped sticker?
No.
We can't. We just can't get anything right with Billy today, can we?
No.
I don't
Yes.
think so.
All right.
Well, that's cool.
I don't know why you're playing a left-handed bass in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
Wrong again.
He plays it upside down.
Anyways. all
What
right.
about you, Toddley?
Well, I got something really fantastic in the mail. I have got a lovely set of
Coconuts?
in-laws
Didn't say
that I had my birthday earlier this month, and
Happy birthday.
Thank you. They sent me a
Right.
couple of Sweetwater, bits, and also my work did that for me, which is really
Wow.
awesome. And so I have been eyeballing the new. I guess they haven't really done them in the past, but the Fender pedal board.
Ah.
And what's really interesting is, I hit the internet and I was like, well, let me see what the reviews on this. And it was crazy how many people were kind of poo-pooing these things. But then the other ones were like, don't listen to it. They're great. So I said, what the heck? I'm going to try it. I got my
Says the Fender employee.
yeah. I got my fantastic rep over at Sweetwater.
Yes.
Who I talked to today. Just a joke. And
Did you get
it
candy?
showed up, man. I got the candy. It showed up. This thing is awesome.
Okay.
I am so impressed with it. I truly am. I'm not blowing smoke. It is a really nice piece of gear. It's kind of like, when we talk about things, what do we like about things, and what would be great if it was better like this? It's like they all sat down and they said, what would we like to actually do different on pedal boards? Because pedal boards have, they kind of follow a lot of the same patterns for good reason, because, form follows function in many of these cases, right?
Correct.
They solved a lot of the things that I've found issue with, like surface area on the actual top of the board. Instead of being bound to just saying, I got to put my pedals on where the bars are, or it being, like, hey, that's really cool. I'd love to pay $1,000 to have a professional pedal board maker, like, totally route my cables underneath. They provided a way to do that.
Nice.
They've got a really smart system of securing your actual power supply that doesn't require all kinds of power tools and hardware and drilling things, and just every inch of this thing. They said, how can we make this a little bit smarter, a little bit easier to use? It is super lightweight. It's super strong. And it came in this really fantastic, very well padded case.
I'm going to try
couldn't
standing
believe
on
it.
it right now. Would that be okay with you?
The case? Sure, go. Knock
No,
yourself out.
on the pedal board.
I guess so. I don't really. I mean, I'm not going to stand on. I don't know. They're designed for that. But anyways, and it's a hybrid too. So you've got these sides that are made out of this really fantastic molded like nylon or something. It appears to be some kind of nylon material. Mm-hmm. I'm just really impressed. It's a great board, and cost wise, I mean, it was $160, which is nothing to sneeze at. I don't, that's a lot of money.
No, but by comparison to some of the other things that are out there.
By comparison, you're getting a lot for you got to get a lot of bang for your buck here. That's for dang sure. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that.
So, it came to mind, there's a classic photo from the probably 50s or 60s at Fender they were trying to show that Fender necks were really strong. So they have a neck sitting between two chairs, and a somewhat portly individual is standing on top of the neck. And that's why I kind of said, can I stand on your pedal board?
Yeah, I get it. I'm following.
Can I explain?
You probably could. I mean, it's as far as gauge of steel or of
Aluminum.
goes, it's brushed aluminum. And Aluminium. It's pretty heavyweight as far as that goes. Very impressed. I'm very impressed. If you're thinking about this, I'd say go for it, because I've been looking at pedal boards extensively, and I haven't pulled the trigger on one because I'm like, I'm not seeing what I want. I'm not seeing the things that fix the things that I need to have happen. And I also am like, man, I can't shell out a whole bunch of dough for this. I can't.
Yeah.
So this worked out beautifully. I was very, very happy with what I got.
Hey, Todd,
What's up, Tony?
you got this new pedal board.
Yes.
What do you need to put this pedal board together?
That is a great question. I'm going to need more of the thing that I already have,
Which
which
are?
is Tour Gear Designs patch cables.
I love them.
Specifically because the way that and maybe I might share this. Maybe I'll share it. I don't know if I'll share it. I don't know. I feel weird about sharing my board. I don't know if I should.
Because you have such top secret things on
Yeah,
there.
it's top secret. Anyways,
I think you should share it.
the way that I have the board set up, I'm utilizing the JHS switchback. That so I have to do a little bit of octopus kind of
Loopity-loop.
loop stuff. So I'm going to need some slightly longer cables. I don't want to pay through the nose for them.
Well-
and I need to guarantee that they're gonna work.
Well, Tour Gear Design patch cables are the bomb.
That is true, and I'm going to be able to get those extra links without taking out a bank loan.
That is correct. But
Human Torch was not denied a bank loan this time.
But there's one thing more because, when you load up your shopping cart there.
Yeah, I'm going to save money right away with the coupon code, the Guitar Knobs. I'm going to save 10% on my order. So that's going to be going out real soon. So
Nice.
yeah, very cool. We're going to get on to our little retrospective on the show called NAMM. Billy and I coaxed Billy into going. And I coaxed Johnny Morales from Oakland Guitars to go out there too. I mean, I was surprised that I was able to do that. But because I was like, hey, look, if we're gonna go, let's get an Airbnb. It should be affordable for us. We're gonna have a great time. And we did. We did just that. It was a really great time. And it made me think about, on this last episode, Tony, you brought up a bunch of stuff about, like different road trips we've gone on.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I want to go on another one of those.
Yeah.
And I think it would be really fun to, maybe go hit one of isn't the Pennsylvania show coming up pretty soon?
Well, the Dallas show is coming up next week.
Yeah. That's on the 2nd through the 6th.
Something like that.
Ooh.
Of May. Yeah. A little short run for me. I can't. I need more timing than that. But
yes.
but the Pennsylvania one is coming out in the summer, I think, isn't it?
There's usually a summer Philly show.
Well, anyways, yeah, Philly,
Yeah.
specifically. Anyways, I just was like, hey, we should go somewhere.
Okay.
Just like and pull Billy along to this one too.
No, I'm not going if Billy's
Yeah.
going.
We could go to Nashville and hang out with Jared down there.
In the
always
secret, in the
could.
secret room.
Yeah.
That's right.
Anyway, so in this case, we went out to Anaheim and we had lots of fantastic adventures, and we'll probably pull some more of those up, in the future as we recall stories and stuff. But speaking specifically about the things that aren't quite as personal, because that's kind of hard to go through. Like if you weren't there, it was like, guys, why are you talking about like the things that we weren't there for? I will share some of that out on Instagram, and it'll be funny. But specifically about the NAMM thing, one thing that was really interesting is that there were some major players that were not there.
Yes.
Big ones.
Yes.
Without naming all those, just think of whoever you think is really big and they weren't there. All right? And that goes for electronics companies as well as guitar companies as well as amp companies. It's like almost, I mean, it was kind of shocking to the point where they were able to house almost all of it in
one hall.
one floor, in one hall. Yeah,
Or one building.
building.
Yes.
Without using
One
the
gigantic
downstairs
building.
Yeah.
Yeah, because always there was, the
Downstairs, the
and
other
then
building.
other buildings for,
Yeah.
sound reinforcement and things like that. So,
All the pro audio gear and everything.
Yeah.
That I think was in the other building. We didn't manage to get over there, but I wanted to, but just time eluded us.
Yes.
Eluded us. In this case, we we walked it for 2 days, and it was absolutely fabulous. And we got to see all kinds of new things, which I was really hoping to see, and it paid off. We met lots of people that either we have been wanting to get on the show or weren't even aware of that now are going to be on the show. So we got lots of great guests out of this that are coming on the show. In fact, we got one coming up next week. Let's start with this person, Billy. So we have Grez Guitars coming on.
Nice.
And Grez Guitars, Barry sent us out one of the guitars. We were really blown away when we got there. We went over to their booth, and they're really great looking guitars. And whenever you're seeing new gear, you're like, so tell me why this is special, right? Why should I care about this other than it looks really cool and it's a guitar, which, I'm pretty much there on that alone. These are out of Petaluma, California. And the most unique thing about these, I think, is that they are made out of, I believe, reclaimed redwood. Mm-hmm. The reason that matters is, unbeknownst to me, even growing up in California, I didn't realize redwood was so light. Mm-hmm. It is incredibly light. These guitars, you probably have pedals that weigh more than this guitar. I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
It's shocking.
For sure.
It almost feels like, wait, what's wrong? Why this is wrong? It doesn't feel like something you've it's like you're wearing a huge ukulele or something.
Yeah, I mean, they're lighter than even like old Dan Electros. I mean, Dan Electros were masonite with a wooden core.
Yeah, and these are redwood, and they are chambered bodies, and not they didn't do just like two giant chambers with a big block down the middle. Like they're being very strategic and maintaining resonance while cutting down weight. While they have a very unique sound too, and they look great. They play. I was really happy with the way they played.
Yeah.
And there's a guy making them, which is cool. We met the guy, and the guy's going to be on the show.
Nice.
And he's going to tell us all about why he decided to make these guitars, rather. That's Grez Guitars, Grez Guitars. And Billy, I've been yapping about this. Tell me your experience.
My experience with Grez?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
Or the show.
Or the show?
No.
The
Grez.
show?
Grez specifically.
Okay.
We're talking about Grez right now. Let's stay on that.
Yeah, so first of all, my first question is Grez his name, or is it short for resonating? What is it?
I think his last name is kind of Eastern European and has lots of consonants in line with each other.
Okay. Yeah. So there's that.
Shortened to Grez.
It reminds me of an old, those old Silvertones, those that look like a duo jet, and they were just super lightweight. But this is like this high-endy, like it just feels like magic, like butter. Like the necks are butter.
Yeah.
Like everything about the shape of the neck just like fits in your hand, and all the frets are like just very sturdy. You get this feeling that it's not going to fall apart, even though it's light enough to like crunch. It's just weird. It's like being in a super cool like experimental aircraft that's like super lightweight and you're
made
flying
of
along.
aluminum and
Yeah.
mylar.
No, yeah. It's like I could fly in this thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's
that
cool.
feeling.
And to give a little bit more, we're gonna butcher the name. So, Tony, you want to take a stab at the name?
Where is it here? I can't see it.
It's like Grzybic.
Yeah. There you go.
Grisbick. It's something like that.
He could just be
He'll tell us.
G-R-E-Z.
Yeah, which
Grr,
it is.
easy.
So, anyways, he was a great guy. He was eager to talk to us about his guitars. He was very proud of him, as he should be.
Yeah.
So we're really looking forward to having him on the show and exploring, a brand that we weren't familiar with.
Nice.
Yeah, very cool.
I was familiar with them.
Were you?
I'd heard of them before.
Yeah,
I'd seen some.
I've
samples.
heard of them, but I have not experienced them. So being able to do that was quite nice. Billy, you want to do a tit for tat here, as it were? Was there one that you wanted to throw out there? We'll kind of volley back and forth.
Okay, sure. My favorite of the show. Should we get to my favorite of the show?
Do it, man. Just
Why
go
not?
for it.
Right at the top.
Right out of the gate.
Valiant Guitars
All right.
from Ukraine.
Ah.
They were just the best made guitar. Let me backtrack.
You want me to clap there?
No,
Okay.
I'm going to specify that it was the
Okay.
best made bass guitar that
Okay.
I've played.
Okay.
Okay,
Like ever? Period.
maybe short. I don't know. My Campbell American's pretty phenomenal, but
That bass was incredible.
yeah,
I mean, it really-
but
it
this
really,
bass I
truly
played
was.
at the show was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had. Well, they've got a great website and it shows some of the different models. What's
That
the
was
one there on the left?
I think that was
there?
the TNT body.
Yeah, the TNT was pretty amazing.
And it's in a tiger flame maple with
Man. It was just. First
I-
of all,
I-
it was
you-
nicely
you got
weighted.
stuck there.
It was nicely weighted.
Yep.
It was not too heavy. In fact, it was more on the light side than heavy. One of the first features that really impressed me was that the pickup cover was made of wood. So you could use it as a rest, for your thumb, or like, if you were one of those guys that might normally play with a little piece of slab underneath the string as a depth, something to pick against.
Oh yeah.
For like speed, you could use it that way because it had that feel like, like it was just naturally weighted and just it felt good, when your finger landed on it.
Ergonomically
It's
correct.
just ergonomically correct. Yes. And geez, and then all the hardware, they make all the hardware except for, I believe, the tuners. Is that right? I think the tuners were the only thing that they don't make themselves. Okay. But the bridges they make themselves, the pickups they wind themselves, the pickup covers they wind themselves, and man, it was just a well-made guitar, and the price is pretty reasonable for such a finely made, handmade guitar.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful.
Oh, the nut.
Super beautiful. The nut
That was the
yeah,
thing,
that
man.
was
The
cool,
nuts
too.
on the basses and the guitars.
Yes.
It is an adjustable height nut
Yeah.
made out of brass.
Yeah.
And that was just
So you could
super
raise and
cool.
lower a screw underneath each string.
Yeah. That was really cool.
That was pretty
Legitimate
cool.
because you're not stuck with
Yeah,
well,
it
now I
was
need
legit.
a whole new nut, right?
It was legit. Yep.
And specifically on that bass, I'm going to give away my Southern California roots here. That's what we'd call a 3-stringer on the back. So, like longboards have a piece of wood down down the center of it, and depending on how many layers of laminate, they'll put like light dark, light dark, light dark. Some are like a single string, some are two, and so
Right.
like a 3-stringer is typically what you'd find on like a longboard for stability.
Gotcha.
And on the back of these necks, I saw that, I'm like, hey, there's a 3-stringer.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kind of neat.
Yep.
So they put a lot of cool science into these and cool engineering, but it doesn't look like an overly engineered guitar, and sometimes that can happen.
Right.
The guys were just super nice. I mean, they took so much time with us.
Yep.
And we weren't a big shop trying to buy 100 guitars or whatever. We're just really interested, and they told us a story about everything. Keeping track of Billy at the show was hilarious for me. Because I'm like, where's Billy? And the thing is, if I lose Billy, Billy's going to be lost. Because he's not going to be like, hey, I need to find Todd. He's like, oh, well, I'm here, So I turn the corner. I'm like, crap, freaking lost Billy again. And I'm looking around, and he had been playing that bass for quite some time. And I came up, and the first thing he said is, "This is the best instrument here."
Yeah.
Like right out of the gate.
By
And we
far.
had picked up loads of them.
Yeah.
So coming from you, who has so many instruments, I mean, that means a lot.
Yeah.
That's
Best in the show.
yeah.
Right there.
And they were super kind. They gave us commemorative coins from the Ukraine that were minted to help support their effort, the war effort. And they were just really great. And they're really fine instruments. So besides the bass, they had a full range of guitars, which were also just really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And they took attention to like all kinds of other details that just were different. So in familiar shapes, we found unique elements, and I thought that was a nice little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be on the show.
Mm-hmm.
There's twofer.
Yep.
There's a twofer. Talking about smaller bits, I'm going to take this right now. We ran across this company called Rock Lock. And Rock Lock is, I think it was a really great alternative to like the metal style, more familiar, like the Schaller and does Dario make those? Or, Dunlop. Dunlop makes, so just the metal kind of strap locks.
Yep.
What they've kind of solved for is that those strap locks all most require a piece of hardware that you have to refit to your guitar. Where Billy and I took note of this was, Billy's got a lot of vintage instruments that maybe you don't want to switch out like the new hardware for. You don't want to mess around with that.
Right.
These are 2-piece plastic, but they're very, very high grade, very thick, very strong feeling plastic. And there's one part that kind of screws on and holds the strap in place. And then once that's on, you pinch the little sides and you can pop it on and off of any guitar
Yeah.
that has strap hardware. So I thought that was a pretty unique little thing. I hadn't really seen anything that solves that need, So check that out. That's called Rock Lock, ROKLOK. All right?
Yep. That was cool.
Yeah, that was super cool.
That was cool. And okay, I've got one for you, Tom.
We'll post pictures
Yeah.
of these as much as we can here too. Go ahead, Billy.
I was impressed with.
Oh, sorry. Wait, Jared. Oh, Jared, you would love these things because you've got a lot of expensive, I would say collectible guitars that.
Lock knobs?
Who? What?
What do you think? The lock knobs you were just talking
Yeah. The
about?
Rock Locks. I think
Rock
you
Locks.
would
Okay,
benefit
LOK.
from this. Yeah.
Thank you, Billy.
Yeah.
Rock locks.
ROKLOK.
Yep.
Do you have samples with you?
Yes, we each have a sample here.
Awesome. I got to come in. I want to come in and get my guitar phone soon anyway, so I would love to check that out. I got to do an episode there at the studio.
Yeah, well,
been a while.
Well, we got Dr. No 2 days from now. Just saying.
Ooh.
Anyways,
I hear you.
Billy, go ahead.
Okay, so on to a different piece of gear. I was impressed with Surfy Bear
Oh man,
reverb
Surfy
unit.
Bear. They're going to be on the show.
Okay, so it's a foot pedal reverb unit. And instead of the traditional, it uses, so it does use a traditional spring reverb, unit. It's got,
A tank.
A piece of, it's got a tank, with a piece of metal suspended by springs, just like in an old Fender.
Yeah.
Okay. But instead of using a tube circuit, it uses MOSFET.
Okay.
And so it's contained within a, like a kind of it's like the tank size.
So not like a head. It's just more like a.
Yeah, they
flat.
have one that's a little bit more, it's durable, that kind of has an old Tolex wrapped sort of a pedal.
Mm-hmm.
You can get it like that, or you can get it as a, just basically looks like any other foot pedal you'd put on your a pedal board. And, you just stomp on it, and which is also kind of cool because just like the reverb tank on your Fender guitar,
Yep.
if you bang on it, or jump up and down enough, it'll shake the tank. And so I saw somebody using that with a local surf band a couple weeks ago, and I thought, hey, how are they doing that? That's what they were using. Okay, but they had a bunch of these being demoed at NAMM, and I was impressed, and I've got to have one. I've got to get one of those. So that was cool.
Those were really,
cool.
really well made things too,
Yeah.
and surprisingly,
And great sound.
Great sound.
They had normal sized tanks, like that would be in your, your traditional Fender amp, but they also had ones that were smaller. Mm-hmm. And they got pretty much the same sound, maybe not quite as long of a,
Right.
deep sound, but close enough that, if close enough for jazz and surf.
Yeah, it was really impressive, and they were very, very well made. They've got a great range. They have things for all ways to use their pedals. Like if you want to be like, man, I want a big amp top thing, and it's got wood and all that. So they have that.
The other cool thing was they had this one pedal that you could dial in where the reverb would swell. Okay, so like a mid frequency where it would swell, and so you could taper it up and off of that swell point. Okay,
Right.
So like maybe a reverb unit might normally just have, ding, but this you could change that midpoint, that mid frequency point of where it was going to be biggest at.
Yeah, that
Okay.
was really neat.
Yeah,
that was really neat.
So instead of only having your tone control to do that, you could have basically a tone control on your reverb itself.
dig it.
Okay, but it was a separate pedal, and that was fascinating to me.
Yeah.
That was very useful. So
Looking forward to
those two
having
things
them on the
together.
show.
Yeah, I want to know more about all that and how that works.
I'm going to bring up, speaking of the pedals, we checked out another Greek builder, which I was really stoked on, and they were really great guys to talk with. They're called Crazy Tube Circuits, and they were actually paired up right next to Jam Pedals, who's been on the show before.
Oh, yeah.
And they've got, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 12, 15. They've got like 20 some odd pedals out there, and they sounded great. And they're like, hey, pair this one with this one. They knew which ones were what paired well with each other, which was very helpful there, so you could get an idea of how some of these things worked out. Really great builds. The standout pedal for me in their collection was called the Superconductor. The Superconductor was 4 boost circuits in one pedal. And instantly we were like, oh, hello. That's very interesting. So it's got one big knob that just is basically the output, and then you have the option to select between these different these different well-known, they're based off of well-known boost circuits. There's a silicon-based one, there's a JFET-based one, there's an op-amp-based one, and there's a MOSFET-based one. And man, it's like when you think, oh, it's a boost, how different could it be? When you put those into one single circuit, the difference was huge. It also allows you to switch between 9-volt and 18-volt on the fly, so you can get it does the rails, so you can do the added headroom kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it has an EQ for the regular or fat. Outstanding pedal. Really, it's so useful. You put that on your board in front of your drive, if you're doing like a stack drive, and you put this in front of it, holy mackerel, your drive stack is going to open up, and you will have 4 different colors of that drive stack immediately. Like, I got to get that pedal because I need it.
You need it.
Yes.
Justify it that way. I need it.
It was great. So they'll be on the show. Looking forward to that. Billy.
Okay, here's an odd one, Todd. I don't know if you really got to pay much attention to this, and I don't know that anybody will, but it was very unique. It was a company called Soul Pedal.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Okay. So they had basically. Like you have an insert you put in your shoe, right?
Right.
To like absorb
impacts.
They had these based on a bunch of Crocs.
Yeah. But no.
Classy.
No, that's not true.
No, they did. They had a whole bunch of Crocs. You could try them on and put them on. They did. That was the whole thing. But go ahead.
Oh no, that didn't have any Crocs.
Yes, they did.
No. You can change the pedal in your shoe. Why would you change the pedal in your shoe?
Go ahead.
No. So anyway, you put this insert in your shoe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bless you.
And and it would send a signal to this this computer device, right? And it was basically a wah pedal. You could rock your foot and use it like a wah.
Right.
You could use your shoe
or an expression
as
your
a
volume. I think it did too, right?
You could do volume. Yeah. So you could tap your toe or tap your heel to change settings. Okay. And you could program this stuff, right? But so you could stand there and be Jimi Hendrix, just dancing out on the edge of your your runway, And I missed the whole Croc thing. Man, that's a Croc, huh?
So do the same people that design this pedal, do they design trinkets for people to cheat against blackjack at the casino?
Maybe I don't
know, but it was pretty wild, and it was like
pretty wild.
Hey, you can get your own custom built insert and this expensive pice of hardware.
Yeah, you could probably put that in like in.
It was kind of wild.
I don't like in the pads of your glasses, where it sits on your nose, and you wiggle your nose a little bit, and you're like, "Hey, I'm holding the 20. I'm holding the 21 card."
Yeah. It is very interesting. And he was a very impassioned man.
Cool.
All right. So,
Soul Pedal.
All right.
Pretty crazy.
Let's see here.
Pedal.
Yeah. So one of the other, I'm on the pedal kick right now. We swung over to our friends at Schnobeltone. Unfortunately, Roman wasn't there. He was dealing with something. But Nicholas Poppin was there, great guitar player. And he was like, hey, make sure you swing by and say hi. So we did that. We went over, showed us a bunch of their new pedal line. I was going through them, playing a Strat.
That had to
yeah.
be tough for you, Todd.
It was, right?
I saw Todd play. Guess how many Strats I saw him
like
play?
3 or 4.
Nice.
Yeah, it was crazy. I got pictures too.
Yeah.
We need some posters.
They're not very useful.
You know, the thing is, though, I will say this. I don't understand why people were using Strats for demos of pedals, because really kind of a Strat only, you know...
They just feel like half output.
I mean,
it's just
well,
half the output.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and it's like that high end. It's just the high frequency output, and I thought that was very limiting. I thought it was limiting, especially when it came to some of these distortion pedals that, you know, could have sounded phenomenal with, you know, a humbucker or something.
Yeah.
I was kind of confused by that. So, you know, hey, if you're giving a demo on pedals, have some options there or something, you know, something that you can switch.
I agree.
you
There
know.
were a lot of
It
Strats.
was just kind of weird. Yeah.
Specifically, it came down to one pedal that absolutely stood out for me in their new line of pedals, and it was called the Horsepower. And this features a volume, a gain, a bass, and a treble. It basically, you know, it's based off of the you know, the well-known Klon pedal, right? Now, hold on.
What?
Before you say,
I've never heard
before
of
you
this.
roll your eyes.
What is this Klon
Right.
pedal that you speak of?
Before you roll your eyes. He said, now wait for this. He plugged me in, and he took me to, Nicholas was helping me out here, and we got into the gain section of it. And this went from, like, literally just a boost with almost no color or anything, all the way to a totally awesome sounding, like, I'll say fuzz, okay? Instantly, I was like, okay, this pedal right here, super, super versatile. And with a Strat, made it sound fantastic. I was really surprised by that, because typically if you see a clone, you're going to get, you know, the option to have, you know, more gain usually. If people are modifying them, this one took it to a whole other level. Highly recommend checking that pedal out. Super versatile, and built like a tank. So really cool.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
Cool knobs.
Yeah. Let's see. Billy.
Okay, so let me. Can I bring up
No.
one of our favorite stops along the way?
Yeah, man. Let's talk about it.
Okay, I'm wearing the
I'm super
T-shirt right
excited
now.
about this.
It's called Black Mountain.
Yeah. They go
Black
under Black
Mountain
Mountain
guitar.
picks.
Oh, Black
Because they
Mountain.
started out with the
Okay.
spring-loaded pick.
Okay.
That was their.
Okay, so let's
foray.
ease into this by Todd.
Ease into it, baby.
Tell them about the spring-loaded pick that impressed you.
Yeah, well, you know, we came up and we are like, hey, what's this Black Mountain stuff? And the first thing they said is, try this pick. And it was, you know, sort of like a thumb pick, a typical thumb pick that you would see for, like, you know, acoustic picking, you know, that kind of has like a little clip on it so it sticks to your thumb. But this was spring-loaded, so the tension was variable. And I thought, oh, that's kind of nice and comfortable. And as we were talking, I was explaining how, you know, and I've talked about on the show, like I've run into a problem with my hand, which I recently got figured out. But I was explaining it to the guy to one of the representatives, and they said,
Todd gets hand cramps.
You need to talk about you need to talk to the guy, the maker, right? He came over and we got in this fantastic conversation. Super animated guy, wicked smart. Like, you could tell he was like an engineering kind of guy, and he was an absolute delight to talk to. And I told him about the problem. And he's like, this would be perfect for it. And he started telling me how I could actually modify it to help it fit my hand better. That started off on this other conversation, and he said, I want to show you something.
Wait.
Oh, then wait, before that.
Okay.
Before that.
So while Todd is getting blown away by this fancy spring-loaded pick, okay, I'm getting blown away by this fancy spring-loaded slide. Okay, they have them for pinky slide, long traditional like bottleneck players. Yeah. I play a knuckle slide myself, and they had one that was actually about the size that would fit on a knuckle, and it would cover maybe 2 strings. But the same principle. It's got a little spring-loaded plastic piece here that makes the knuckle slide stay on your finger. Yeah. Okay, and it's kind of nice because I'm always worried about that, and I've had them fly off in the middle of the show. I've got this knuckle slide on, and I go to say hi to somebody. Whoop! There goes my knuckle slide. And yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So there was that. Okay, and
by the way, this is this is Cole McBride, and they were out of I think Vancouver. If I remember, I think they were out of Vancouver. But Cole McBride, and he had a delightful a thick Canadian accent.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He was a great guy to talk to. I can't wait to have him on the show.
They have
now.
Yeah.
Then
he
said,
a grizzly paw on there.
He said, "Hey
logo.
Guys, I want to show you this thing." And he brought over this piece of equipment that instantly Billy and I, our jaws hit the floor, because what we were looking at was something called the freewheel pedal. When we first looked at it, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be some kind of crazy gimmick," but with the minute we each of us held it, I mean, we looked at each other and we're like, "Holy crap! This is the piece of gear from the show. This is like the piece of gear for the entire show." It was built. It felt like, when you hold one of the Rat 2, the second version of the Rat with the crinkle coating on it, but it's built like a tank. It's like nothing's gonna hurt this thing, right?
Like military spec.
Yeah, it was military spec. Solid aluminum knobs on the back, which was also cool. It was like, oh, the knobs are on the back. And there wasn't a lot of room on the front because aside from the 2 foot switches, which had an engage and a boost, so this is an overdrive pedal, there was this huge, chunky, solid piece of aluminum with heavy knurls on it and numbers. And it was it was like a foot roller for the overdrive. But it's got a spring cam in it, so that when you interact with it, it doesn't just like slide all over the place. This thing was fantastic. Billy and I both left and we're like, "Oh my gosh, can you believe that thing? I wonder when it's going to come out. This is going to be incredible. This was a piece of gear for the year or for the show." And I said, "We should go back and see if we can get one." And we went back and we said, "Can you can we order this now?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, we'll send you one. As soon as we finish production, you'll get the first ones out." So Bill and I both said, "Absolutely, right now. Heck yeah." Right? From a pedal enthusiast standpoint, from a drive enthusiast, I'm a drive guy. I love drives. This was just too cool. And the interaction, the actual user experience of it, a lot of times you see things and you're like, "Look, I invented this really crazy thing." And it feels like a really crazy thing. And it can be a little bit hokey, like the soul foot thing. And other various pieces of accessories and equipment that we saw. But this thing was absolutely legit. And I cannot wait to get this shipped out. It was so cool. So Black Mountain, they're going to come on the show when they're getting ready to release the pedal. So they said sometime probably early fall. So maybe we'll be talking to them towards the end of summer. Nice. Very exciting.
Very nice.
That was one of the highlights for me. Like seeing something like, wow, okay, that's totally different, completely different than anything else at the show. Billy, sorry. We'll do a couple more of these and then we'll...
Billy already did his.
Yeah, Billy, you got more, right?
No, it's your turn, Todd.
It's your
I just
turn.
did it. Oh no, yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well,
That was a joint
I
effort.
do want to
Well,
mention.
it was a joint effort.
Yeah, there was a great.
because we had and yeah, it's going to be fun having those guys on the show.
It is
because I have more ideas of what they could do with that roller.
Oh,
pedal.
I'm sure
I
they
mean,
could come out
oh
with
my
an
God.
entire line of that.
Yeah.
stuff.
So anyway, so I do have another one.
even
you want
just
me to
as an
speak?
expression thing.
Would you like me to speak?
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
another
yeah.
one.
Go ahead,
Okay.
go.
Okay, here's back to another guitar.
Wait, before you do that, one of the great things. One of the great things, we're in the mix around this, the big pedal island, and we were just seeing. I was like, we're trying to talk to people, and we're playing. We're like, hey, don't go anywhere. Hey, good to see you, and all that stuff.
Yeah,
so shout out to
Todd's always like
Tone
crapping.
Jerks and all the different people that we were waving to that we maybe even didn't get to talk to that much. But as I was passing by somebody, I saw a hand raise up to put some kind of like a drink in the mouth, and I said, "Drink." And John Snyder turned and he looked at me, and I was like, "I can't believe I caught that." I actually caught him about to take a drink. So I said, "Drink." It was great. So we talked with John Schneider. He's going to be coming back on the show.
Oh, good.
We hung out with Demi Dash and just a whole slew of others. And if I'm forgetting, we talked with String Joy, one of the first people that were ever on our show. It was all the little like run-ins with people was great. But this show particularly is about introducing a couple new things that we found that were noteworthy. Billy, go.
Okay. We're distracting each other tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So another totally different thing, not seen before. Maybe someone else has seen it, but we saw Mule Resophonic guitars.
Yes.
From Saginaw, Michigan.
Man, those things were awesome.
They were. I don't know if it's my kind of thing or not, but it was unique. They had like guitars that looked like banjos and sounded like banjos. They had banjos that looked like guitars and sounded like guitars. I don't know what they were, but they were made of metal. They were like
Some of them.
some of them were made of metal.
out of wood
Some
with
of them were made
resonators.
of it was weird, man. There was all kinds of crazy stuff. But and some of them were light and some of them were heavy. It was all a lot. But they had resonator guitars, basically resonator type equipment, and some of them it felt like they were made back in the 20s, like that out of that same metal, like that,
But
like
well
that your
made,
like
not
that your
janky.
grandfather's train set was made out of, like metal that was
Yeah.
like forged from,
But they weren't janky.
Viking steel.
A lot
I
of
don't know.
things that are like sort of old timey
Yeah.
can be and feel janky.
Yeah.
These were absolutely
Yeah,
not.
they were-
These are like legit,
Yeah.
really well made instruments.
Yeah, and they had really great feeling necks. I would say
Yeah,
that
it had
about them.
the offset
Offset V
Yeah.
on the back.
Yeah,
so just
and
like
offset D.
Oh yeah, right. So it fit right in your hand, right in your palm.
Yeah. The Telecasters. They had Telecaster bodies that were made. They were metal, which was really neat.
Yeah. There was a Telecaster that was made of metal, and it was hollow. And I don't know. It was kind of mind blowing. It was hard to get my head wrapped around everything that was going on with them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I would just say check them out if you
I
get a
think the
chance
cool
to play
thing-
one. If you get a chance to visit that shop, if
He's gonna
if
be
you're
on the
up
show.
there. They're going to be on the show.
Yeah, it's going to be on the show.
How cool is that? Okay.
I think what I found unique about these was that a lot of time when we say resonator guitars, and Tony, what can you explain to everybody, basically what a resonator guitar is?
Well,
For those that may not know.
Yeah, resonator guitar was really the first attempt at making a louder instrument, louder guitar to
Louder
compete.
jazz box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what they developed was basically a diaphragm inside that the bridge sits on. And it was basically, think of it like kind of like a speaker because the diaphragm would actually take the vibrations from the bridge and then more or less amplify it. When you think of, like a lot of times, especially in country and bluegrass music, there's a lot of that tone of instrument. And to me, it's not the most pleasing tone, but it is louder and it is very trebly. So I think in certain types of music, it actually works really well.
Slide, great for slide
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Like think of it like an old dobro or an old, any of that genre.
Right. But typically when you think of these, you think of the usually unfinished sort of steel body guitars, thicker, that are going to only sound like that, like really, really metally.
Yeah.
And I don't mean in a la kind of way.
No.
Right? What I found interesting was they were able to work in resonators into thinner body, thinner wood body guitars, which gave a really neat sound. And it instantly was like, wow, this is really versatile sounding. Even I think you could totally use it in even in like in a rock scenario, like some of these things.
Yeah.
And certainly the Telecasters were.
Yeah.
They
And
were
it gave you very much a parlor, kind of approach, like a parlor guitar, or sitting on the front porch,
Right.
or
But
sitting on the back
plugged
porch
into, like,
of your
with some
mountain
drive
home,
would
or,
sound sick.
Yeah. True, true.
I think.
Or even in your apartment,
Yeah.
could probably be a reasonable volume that you would have some natural resonance and pleasantness, without disrupting your neighbors. It was just it was cool.
It was. And to
very
me,
very appropriate for what's going on in American music right now.
and I think if you take something like a resonator or something that's built like this, and you say, "Oh, this guitar is made specifically to do this kind of music, played this kind of way, handled this kind of way, and it's going to sound exactly like every other time you've ever heard that instrument." To me, this was kind of changing that up. Like I just mentioned, they had some really awesome, narrow body wood guitars with the resonator built in it. And I was like, if you wanted some kind of cool sound that like the people hadn't heard, and you went electric and went into an overdriven amp or a drive pedal or something with even like crazy reverb on it, man, you got a completely unique sound. And that could hold up and it could sound fantastic. Anyways, he was a cool dude, and he's making really, really nice gear. So we're looking to have him on as well. Let's see. You brought that up. We talked to Summer School pedals, which we actually have in front of us right now, and they were featured on the JHS YouTube channel, and I think it was like one of the best pedals of the year, something along the lines of that, for specifically the Science Fair. So the unique thing about this particular pedal, and they had a whole range of pedals that were very clever, and you couldn't not like them. Their story is great, and I'm really looking forward to having them on the show. It was a husband and wife team who basically said, there's so many things came out of the pandemic, including these guys. And this particular pedal that they shared with us is basically, for lack of better terms, it's a tube screamer and a rat-based circuit in one pedal that you can figure out where you want the blend to be, which was, I thought, really cool. And apparently, JHS did too. So really looking forward to having them on. Great people, super nice, anxious to tell their story, and they have a very good one. They were both teachers and found themselves sort of like, well, what do we do? And that's what they did, and it was really cool. So really nice people. They'll be on the show at some point in the near future as well.
So I had a couple of questions since I didn't get to go to the show.
Yes.
Did you find that this show was maybe catered more towards smaller builders, or smaller spaces, or newer?
There were more Well, I don't know. There were a lot of smaller spaces. I think one of the previous ones that we went to had about is equal amount of smaller spaces. I think that the previous one had maybe a couple more pedal islands. But by and large, I think there was a fair amount of things that were going on that was like big, small, medium.
Okay.
You had Ibanez out there, but you also had, summer school pedals. So it was a nice mix.
Well, I think that's neat. As the and was it still kind of the similar, in days gone by, there were a lot of parts suppliers from Asia and things like that. Were they?
There was a lot of that, but not nearly as much as like the entire basement area used to be.
Okay.
And I think it was a little bit less part suppliers, and there was a lot more of like super generic music. Like, hey, here's our really cheap acoustic guitars that are painted in like 6 different colors. Like 4 or 5 booths of that. So. For actual merchants and actual people, that's the weird thing. NAMM was always for merchants to go and basically say, this is what we want to stock in our store. But with the rise of everybody's interest in some of the smaller builders, it's brought a whole other factor to this thing.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of, it sounds like, while in some ways it could, had the potential to be somewhat disappointing not having a lot of major players. It sounds like you still were able to find a lot of
positive things from people.
Good.
And no, I didn't hear a single person say, "Man, this isn't very good. It's not like it was the last time."
Yeah. Well,
I think
a lot of things have changed since the
things
pandemic.
had changed, and I do think you can say what you will about like quote unquote bigger things, but like when you have JHS there, you have Gibson, you have Fender, you have Marshall, you have Vox, and all these like some of the bigger dogs out there, right? That brings a little bit of excitement to the show. It brings a lot of excitement to the show. It really does boost the whole like, wow, this is the stuff, right? But it was great. It was great.
Well, that's one of the things I always liked about the Nashville show, because the summer show, it was generally smaller. It was generally catered to smaller builders, and you were able to actually spend more time kind of one-on-one with the people that were designing, building, whatever. And so it sounds like this was kind of a hybrid of the two shows.
I've never been to any of those shows other than local guitar shows, buy and swap shows. And we were there. We spent a good solid 2 days walking the show.
Yeah.
And I pretty much, I saw as much as I could intake, and I don't think I could have like taken in any more.
Right.
But it was a lot, and it was useful to me. So. I don't know. I could have walked around there for days and days,
But then they would have probably
demoing
thrown you
everything.
out.
Yeah.
But I had my fill. So I guess it was to me. It felt like the right amount.
Okay.
If
I could have gone one more day with more vendors for sure.
Yeah.
With a little bit more rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. It was like
you walked your
it was
legs out.
as much as I could absorb.
Okay.
Yeah.
Without a break.
Right.
Because
I wanna give-
it's sort of like walking into Guitar Center or something, and it's like, when you walk into a room and there's 15 drummers all playing drum sets, and you're hearing every 132nd note.
That's
being
the best
played.
part of NAMM.
It's just like, whoa, man. It's like, okay, I can't take anymore. But anyway, I thought it was appropriate.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jared.
I want to give some context on why I personally think, and I don't know for sure why, but just to give everybody an idea of why the big shots weren't there, the big companies, COVID was a time where people they didn't go anywhere, they didn't go to work, so they bought guitars. And more people bought guitars than ever. And that affected the market when everybody went back to work. And it kind of threw a curveball at the large companies. And when the large companies go to NAMM, they spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars renting the big giant rooms that we go into, and it takes us a half a day to go through the whole thing. It's enormous. Like the NAMM display that Gibson and Fender usually do is bigger than the Gibson Garage. Gibson Garage is pretty big, but it's huge. Mm-hmm. So I think the way the market, the gear market in itself has affected the giant companies, and that's why I believe they were not at NAMM. Yeah. And I really wish that I was at NAMM. I really wish I could have gone. I love NAMM.
We'll go next time. It's January. Yeah. It's going to be back in January 2024. We'll go. Nice. We shall go.
Nice. I hope we go.
So I have three more I wanted to mention.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. If I don't know how much time.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. Because I do know we have a time constraint. I want to wrap up. But three interesting things to me. One was a manufacturer called Taliki that made guitars that were just fun.
Oh, geez.
With funny looking tiki-looking guitars.
Yeah.
You know, they were nothing. They were super.
Kitschy.
I mean, they were not expensive guitars. They were not great playing guitars, but man, they were cool. You know, something you hang on a wall and something you have in your tiki bar. I would just wanted to mention that cool little artwork.
All right,
that was kind of unique. Another one was Music Nomad.
Yeah.
Equipment care. They had the coolest little tools in the coolest little packages that, would be super useful.
Yeah, absolutely.
To the working musician. And I was like, I always needed that thing. And, here, they had it in the bag with the other two things that you always need with that thing.
Yep.
And I was just impressed. It was well made, well thought out stuff.
Yeah, they actually have a setup kit available now that... and those have existed elsewhere, but Music Nomad is pretty well known for making solid stuff. So we had a really nice talk to them about that.
So that was cool. And the other thing was Rat. Rat had a small little,
Proco booth.
Proco had a little booth, and they had all their different Rat pedals that were available. And, I've bought, a couple different versions of Rats over the years, including the Turbo Rat.
Yeah.
And, and I was like, oh, wow, they still make this stuff. And here's all the different ones and the different generations. I was like, that's pretty cool.
And the coolest one was the teeny tiny Rat.
Yeah, a little teeny tiny rat.
Really neat.
Yeah. It was like a mouse.
And it was the same form factor. They didn't take it and put it in like, some little Hammond box. It's like, no, that's a rat. It's just really tiny.
Yeah.
All right, so maybe one of the last ones that we'll talk about here before we get in the El Camino, Knobs was there, and this is a pedal company that I guess introduced a really unique looking pedal form where it was like, wow, what is this made of? Is this a giant chunk of aluminum? Is it made out of some kind of a plastic? What is this? It had a strange form factor, kind of like something that looked like Special Ops or something. It's a fully analog overdrive pedal that has a ton of versatility in it. Largely, that's coming from the ability to have post-tone and pre-tone in your overdrive, and a mood knob, which helped, it kind of like shapes not only the sound, but how the drive is reacting to your playing. Really, really interesting pedal. They also are coming out with a fuzz version. which I don't believe is available yet, but they will be releasing that. And our goal is to have them on the show. I believe they're out of France. And so they should be coming on the show as well. Knobs, The Ridge, it's called. And it says it's a million moods overdrive, analog and limitless. Check them out. Really neat stuff. And it's a beautiful pedal, too. And that, that's saying something when somebody can come up with like a form factor that is different. Anyways, there are loads of other things that we didn't cover, loads of people that we talked to, and some of which we're still going to have on the show. We're still kind of going through all the collection from cards and stickers and everything that of people that we met. Yeah. So, anyways, without further ado, Jared.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's come to the point of the show where, the old boys hopping the El Camino. There it is. And they come down to old Nashville to play a nice game of Would You Rather? This one is brought to you by me. So, you're in Anaheim, California for NAMM. And you're walking down the street. And the NAMM genie comes up to you on a carpet.
He's not taking us to It's a Small World again, is he?
So anyway, no. Okay, instead, the genie says, "Hey man, you got a choice here. For the next 9 years, because I think 10 years is excessive and 8 years isn't enough. But for the next 9 years, you get free lodging at a really nice, fancy Airbnb.
Fancy.
And you get free NAMM passes for NAMM for 9 years, because we all know NAMM passes are expensive, lodging is expensive, and free airfare out to NAMM.
Nice.
Or
you
get to, your band gets to headline at NAMM. They're the biggest headliners, and you're going to be the biggest show there. Would you rather have your band exposed to everybody at NAMM for exposure, or would you rather just be able to go at NAMM and be a spectator for free for 9 years?
Okay. Tanisha?
That's a new one.
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was my new name.
Yeah. Oh, you brute.
I've been to many NAMM shows.
Yes.
I've been to many after show concert party things.
It's a good time.
It's a good time, but most of the time you're so damn tired from being at the show that you don't really pay attention to the band.
Because your feet hurt?
Your feet hurt.
Well, there's medication you can take out in Anaheim legally.
And you show up in Southern California, and
Tony Downer.
It's like 70 degrees, and you're wearing your Uggs, and
trying to run to Disneyland.
You just go get some medication that helps you along.
You're killing me.
My bunions. Honestly, that's been my experience, and I'm sure someone else would have a grand time, seeing a band and getting the exposure. But I think for my money, I'm going to take the 9 years of free airfare, deluxe Airbnb stay, and NAMM passes, and call it a day.
Okay.
That's what I'm going with.
All right.
But you are the headliner, you know that, right?
I understand that. I understand that, but
your band gets okay.
That's I'm
Jared's upset you didn't choose that.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, Jared.
All right,
No,
Jared,
that's
what are you
all
doing?
right.
I'm next.
Billy's next.
I'm next.
Let Billy
You
go.
know what? I'm headlining.
He's
I'm going
headlining.
big.
You're going big?
I'm headlining, going big.
Thanks, Billy.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll
thank you.
ride that wave.
I'll be the guy in the audience
I don't know
looking at
what's
his
going to
watch.
happen to me 9 years from now, man. I want it now.
Yes.
All right.
That's the best answer I've ever heard in my life.
Right on.
Nice, Freddie. All right.
Jared?
Jared.
Yeah, because I work for one of the big companies, I assumed I was going to go for free anyway. It didn't work this past year.
How little you know.
Oops.
But that's okay. There's a reason. That's all right. You know what? I want to be the head. I'm going to try it. I'm going to do the headliner. I took a chance one year at NAMM, and it landed me the best job of my life. So now, if in this scenario, I'd just say go for it all the way. It's like I'm in it with Billy, man. In fact, Billy's in my band too. So we're going for it. We're going to try to get big.
Billy Brandon.
All right.
Double B.
Yeah. Yeah. Big Jared and the Smalls. That's what you guys are called. I don't know why. I don't even know why that's funny.
That was
It's just, it is funny.
It is. Well,
They called me Big Brandon in the Army, by the way.
no.
Wait, really?
Well, I'm taking. I'm going with Tony.
No, yeah. Oh my God! I thought I was
taking-
going to be on my
taking a free
tired
beer.
feet.
I'm going to keep going. I got
He
plenty
doesn't
of
want to
years on me.
stand in line for the fancy drinks.
I want all the free business, and,
Just-
and you know the headlining the thing. It's like, you know, can you think of a more rougher audience than like 10,000 guitar players judging you? No thanks. Yeah,
Now
I can
this,
do that.
that's a negative.
Yeah, but there's also record producers there, though. You
Yeah.
got to take the good with the bad in that
Yeah,
situation.
well, that industry is going pretty well. So
Yeah. Jared, now a question. Now, does the 9-year package also come with commemorative tiki mugs?
oh, that's worth the price
Yes,
in gold, anyways.
Okay.
$45 a piece. Are you kidding me?
Yes. It
Excellent.
comes with all the good stuff.
Yeah.
All that
Everything.
good stuff.
All right,
Top notch.
Everything.
Tony.
Does
Yes.
it include
Bring us
Lemmy's
home.
Lounge?
One more thing.
yeah.
It includes a card on your bed, on your pillow every night telling you the weather of the next day along with a small chocolate.
Alexa does that already.
Well, my Alexa doesn't give me chocolate.
No.
Oh, that.
Yeah. Anyways,
I think
get us outta
Siri is
here.
also in your house.
Get us out of here, Tony.
Well, Todd, there's a special group of people that we love to thank every week that we do this podcast. These are our executive producers. Now, an executive producer makes this show possible. You might be asking, how can I become one of these executive producers? Very
It's
simple.
really easy.
You head over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs and check out a couple of different levels in which you can participate, become a sponsor, a patron of this podcast. Each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts. But as an executive producer, there's one thing more. Jared, what would that be?
You get to have your name read on the thing.
Your name read on the thing, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers: Moon Guitars, Vader and Pedals, John Helverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Micah D, Richard Kendall, Mark Garton, Matt Hart, James White, Justin Jones, Anthony Gemalero, Bill Gola Guitars, John Esterly, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, Tom Barazin, Rusty Sneeden, Ralph Gottschalk, Don Kloss, Gregory Randall, Brett Hogarth, Eric Hemmer, Stuart George, Michael Furman, Andrew DeHaan, James Bell, James Romer, and Cameron Pampas.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. Well, what?
Jared, don't interrupt because there's another special group of executive producers.
Ooh.
We like to call them our grand poobahs. Well, what else would you call them?
Grandpapa?
Now these grand poobahs are the top of the heap, the creme de la creme, and they wear a fez upon their head whilst listening to the podcast.
And at the same time.
It's the law. So if you are a grand poobah and you're not wearing your fez, we will be over. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you're really dragging this part out.
I am dragging it out just for you, Todd, because I know you're tired.
Yes.
You have sleepy eyes.
I do have sleepy eyes.
Okay. So, well,
I got sleepy eyes. One look at me and I can't disguise. Oh, anyway.
nice. Have you ever considered a musical career?
Yes, it just hasn't worked out. Go.
Maybe you should do the
Go.
headlining at the NAMM show
Go.
thing. So special thanks to these grand poobahs. Tommy Manasco, Ricardo Iguereda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wild Pickups, Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Tyler Rhines, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robinson, Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S. David Poe, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Congregation Gear Demos, Paul Van Eppinger, Scott Sullivan, and Great Lake Guitar Pickups.
Yeah.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Indeed. Well, Tony,
Yes, Todd.
before we say where we can find everybody,
Yes.
I just want to say, like, to all the people that we got to meet, we really appreciated meeting them,
Yeah.
meeting you. We made some great friendships. We met some great new people, and that is at the core. Someone asked me, like, what's the best part about it? It's like, yeah, the gear's fantastic, but honestly, what we do on the show and getting to meet the people, hanging out with John Halverson,
Yeah.
that was cool.
I didn't do that.
He's one of the show, and
I wasn't there.
He's like, hey, and we're like, hey, let's all hang out and talk about guitar stuff. It's that kind of stuff.
No, that
Meeting
really
the people
is.
that we've had on the show that we've made connections with, going up and seeing Patrick from Eventide, and he just gave me a big giant hug, and I'm like, man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. All right. So, anyways,
I am looking forward
yeah,
to January of 2024
I am too already.
because I want to go. I'm planning on going.
Yes.
So I didn't make it this time, but I'm planning on being there in January. So
Perfect.
look for me.
I will.
I'll be the guy next
We'll be
to
going.
Todd.
Okay, where can people find your stuff?
Oh, all you had to do is ask. Just go over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the things that I have available for sale. But by and large, what I do is custom pickguard work. So shoot me an email. Let me know what you're trying to do. I will take very good care of you and make all of your dreams come true.
That's right. Jared?
Get a hold of me through jared.allen.brandon on Instagram if you need to ask me any questions. I'm always willing to oblige.
All right. Billy had to scoot. He's running late on something. So, anyways, yeah, Billy. You can shoot me an email, todd@theguitarknobs.com. You can also DM me on Instagram @guitarknobs. We'd love to hear from you. Send us your Would You Rathers. They're super fun. And if you had any
Absolutely.
specific experience that you had at NAMM, if you were able to go, we'd love to hear that too.
Yeah.
And continue to share builders that you are aware of, that you find interesting, that you want to hear from. We always check into those and do what we can to facilitate it. So anyways, without further ado, we want to thank you all for supporting our show.
Yes.
And have a fantastic guitar week, everybody. And Subscribe!
Yeah.
Repeating the
He
thing,
just keeps going.
expecting a different result.
So, you know how you guys went to NAMM?
Yeah. Jeez. Billy,
Easy, Bill.
your pancreas shot out your mouth right there.
I think he had too many tiki drinks.
I think so.
It's the same show. Yeah.
Yes. Delicious. Yes.
Why is everybody always picking on me?
Do you have a thing this week that you're going to do that doesn't have to do with your room?
My room's awesome.
I'm trying to remember who the crap I was talking to.
Your mama, your daddy, your bald headed granny. Oh, wait a minute. I do like it. Good,
Yeah.
This is great.
Why don't you try one, Jared, and send us a video?
Yeah, that's me. You got me. Damn it. You got me. I found one of Tony as a child.
He just keeps going for it.
The,
Just keep watching. I think we had all of our funny bits before we even remember to turn this thing on. And where we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.